Hey, I'm Eric Haugen. Here is my links to my website, Patreon, Instagram. Like and subscribe to my channel if it is helpful to you. It helps me out when you do that. Today, we are continuing our discussion of music theory that I think is helpful. We're gonna try our best to not worry about rabbit holes and excessive jargon and things like that. So this is episode 3 in, music theory that, what am I calling these? Where to start with music theory. So quickly review the other things. Notes on our fretboard. If you don't know those, you should know those. It's actually not that hard to know. All the notes are 2 frets apart, except for E and F and B and C. They're right next to each other, so that's a good exercise. Next is thinking about knowing your major scale, because that combined with the notes on our fretboard tells us what notes we need to know in any given key. And just so you know, I think the most useful keys to know are the caged keys: the key of C, the key of A, the key of G, the key of E, and the key of D, because us guitar players tend to write in those keys. We don't really need to worry about D flat or A flat or key of, those ones. B flat you'll see sometimes, but anyway. So once, if you've watched those other videos, hey, yay, thank you. Those also contain kind of standard progressions. The next step for y'all is to, and this is a long step, this is a big one, is to go back through the songs you've already learned and any future song that you do learn, and spend the extra 10 to 20 minutes looking at the chord chart and discerning what key it's in. So that first thing I played was, what was that? A little chunklet of Bob Dylan's / the band I Shall Be Released, which is E, F sharp minor, G sharp minor, A, B, E. And so then what you would do is, you're like, cool, I learned how to play a song. Isn't that fun? And it is fun. It's really fun to play songs and sing and play songs, and that's a big part of learning. But this is the side of learning that is, there's learning songs and there's learning the instrument, and that's what we're doing right now a little bit. Yeah, it's like another layer behind. So you would look at that chart and you would see you would see those chords, and you would have to sit there and do the slightly painstaking thing of analyzing, okay, I see an E, an A, and a B, and usually, so that to me would send alarms and things like that, being like, that's probably key of E. And it is. And so just so you know, I'll try and, I guess in the process of making this video, I'm going to try and also point out times when I'm like, yeah, by the way, this is what I see all the time. In rock, alt rock, and blues, 9 times out of 10, the chord that it starts on is going to be the key of the song, so you would start analyzing from that perspective. You'd be like, okay, if this starts on E, it's probably E, so what is that, the 1 chord, and then the 2 chord, and then the 3, and then the 4, 5, 1, which is actually, that's an interesting progression, because most songs revolve heavily, around 1, 4, and 5 still. You don't see as many 2s and 3s. And there's a big temptation to not do this step, to just be like, well, I learned the song and I can strum it, can I move on to the next song now? And I say, no, don't do that. I think you do yourself, okay, the analogy I guess I'll use is like, you go to a restaurant, or this is the era of COVID, you pick up food from a restaurant. Let's imagine life is normal. You go to a restaurant, you get a pizza. They put the pizza in front of you, and you're like, wow, what is this mysterious round object that is bread and sauce and cheese? I really like it a lot. And then you stop there and go, I'm going to eat another one tomorrow. But like, we all know what a pizza is by now. You got different toppings and things like that. To me, that's what music theory is. It's a recipe book. It's a cookbook. Hence, I shoot in my riff kitchen. Although, to be fair, this is like one big room in this apartment. This is the living room portion. The kitchen's behind me. But yeah, to me, music theory isn't this endless, like, mathematical, jargon-filled, thing. It's just like if you combine this with this, you get this. Combine this with this and put it this way, put it in the oven at 425, it's going to come out this way. Let's look at some other songs in the key of E, kind of just off the top of my head. Pixies, Where Is My Mind? Same thing. I'd be like, yeah, I love that song. I mean, you can't touch the Pixies. That's a great song. Let's see what we got here. E. If I'm like, well, if this is probably E, click, 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 click. I'm kind of thinking of all the chords in the key of E. Here, I'll throw them up there. Boosh. That's what my brain clicks on. If it sees that E, it's like, okay, does this fit? E is 1. There's a C sharp minor. Click, 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 click. 6. Well, now here's something, isn't there? Yeah, this is kind of messed up here, that we got a G sharp major in this song. It should be a G sharp minor, and well, welcome to indie rock. They made it major just cause. And he does, Frank Black does a thing where he goes up to that A, which is the click, 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 4. That he takes them all off and on again. And, side note, the strum pattern is a Neil Young strum pattern. So great. There's that piece of that one. Let's do another one that's going to point at, there's going to be some interesting classic rock things. Oh, Rolling Stones, Sympathy for the Devil. Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. So there's our main thing, and the thing that gives this away is the key of E. Well, it goes around. I was around something a long time, stole many man's soul to waste. And then though, there's a B chord. That tells me I'm in the key of E. So this is a great example of a thing you'll encounter a lot, a problem you'll encounter a lot if you're going to analyze songs, especially classic rock stuff. Okay, click, 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 there's my chords in the key of E again. I don't see a D there. A is the 4, there's one again. D is the flat 7. And this is like so common throughout classic rock, and it's because of that thing I talked about in another video. The 7 triad in any major key is a diminished triad. As a triad, it's diminished, but no guitar player is going to do that, and unless they're a progressive shredder. And then it evolves into, okay, well, if I need to make it more playable, it becomes a, don't be afraid, minor 7, flat 5. I've talked about this in other videos. Don't be afraid of chords with weird names. It'd be a D sharp, minor 7, flat 5. And like, it's just, that's not gonna rock. Like, here, watch. Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. No. So in rock, probably just because they didn't know how to play this chord, they will oftentimes just play the next closest chord to that 7 diminished, which, is going to give us the flat 7, the D. So watch out for that. It'll mess you up in quite a few rock songs. Like, they break a rule out of the gate. 1 to the flat 7, to the 4, and to the 1. And then the 5 chord goes back to the 1. Now, there's a couple of things about why. Oh, by the way, if I'm going fast for you, there's slow down gears in YouTube over here and over here, depending on what device you're on. Spacebar pauses, arrows go forward and back. Now, there's a couple of reasons why we do this. One is because it does further our knowledge of music and the instrument, just because it's cool. 2 is if you're a singer, being able to transpose a song to fit your range is huge. And so here, let me try and help you. If you are a woman or have a woman's voice, which is a higher voice, typically that is like 3 or 4 frets lower, 3 or 4 frets higher than a man's voice. So it's very often that I'll be teaching a song to a woman and she'll want to sing it, and so you have to transpose it. Otherwise, they're going to be like really at the bottom of their range and it's not going to sound comfortable for them. Flip side, if you're a man, and I teach, obviously, actually these days it's pretty cool. I teach about 50-50. If you're a guy, especially if you're singing a rock song, it's kind of actually the same thing, but the other way around. So many rock singers sing so high that you have to transpose things to get it to a comfortable, reasonable range. Like, yeah, if you try and sing a Steven Tyler song, good luck, dude. He gets up to there. Like, he's way high. He's like an octave higher than like a normal man. And so, yeah, I find that a lot. And so, you know, this is helpful for transposing, because I think I was showing Mark, we were working on some Jackson Browne. Running on empty is D over A to A. But like, Mark is in his 60s. There's no way he's going to get up there into Jackson Browne territory. And so we were like, all right, let's work it through. And I got to give Mark credit. He did the work. He sat there. He figured out what Roman numerals they were. And then he transposed, and we decided to move it down to 4th to E. And so that's very useful. It's also useful for songwriting, of course. The more we are aware cognitively of the sounds we're hearing, as like, oh, a 1 chord moving up to a 2, you know. Down to a 6. 2, 1. The more that when we're making up chord progressions, we can kind of have that in our head. It's like, so you're not always just flying completely blind every time you're making up a chord progression. To a certain extent, you want that freedom to have, you know, because there's always like an initial like neat part that's like, ooh, that's the part that excites me and like sounds new and interesting. And then you're like, well, that's only a couple of chords. I have the rest of a song to put together here too. What does that inspire me to do? I just think it's helpful, because if you don't have this cognition, you know, your intuition will only take you so far, and you might end up writing the same song over and over and over again. So this is a way to not do that, to just start to be like, oh, okay, let me, okay, oh, wow, I keep doing, you know, I know me, I'm the worst with like using 1s and 4s. I love 1s and 4s, because like, you can kind of layer anything on top of a 1 to a 4 or a 4 to a 1. They're not, it's not a very final sounding cadence, but like even me, I'm like, stop doing that, Eric. I think that's all I really want to talk about today. Yeah, so watch the other videos if you haven't. Like and subscribe to my channel, because yes, it helps the robot know that I'm doing a good job. Thank you for everybody who supports me in all the various ways that you do. And yes, I think I covered everything. We'll leave it at that for today.